Good afternoon. This is the JP Dinnell podcast, YouTube exclusive with myself, JP Dinnell, and Lucas Pinkard. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm still getting used to my new spectacles.
I like them.
Yeah,
good.
I went with a larger frame than I did. I didn't see the dentist in 20 years, and I went for the first time last year, and then this year I hadn't seen the optometrist in like a decade, and so I went, and now I'm getting used to these new frames.
Let's go.
The edges are in weird spots. Yeah, you gotta like check the corners.
You mean you have edges and spots that weren't there when you weren't wearing glasses?
No,
Weird. It's so strange.
Yeah, but also when I was at my other glasses, the frames were so much smaller, and these I can see more, but until I can't. So
They're nice.
That's weird.
Fancy.
Make you ready to do some Q&A?
Let's go. You got Q's, I got A's.
Let's do some stuff from. Okay, so we've got a listener who's got a startup company.
Okay.
He's very excited about this.
Yep.
Read the book on mental toughness.
Oh,
right.
sweet.
So he's ready to start 7-9-figure companies or 7-figure companies, whatever it is that Andy's got. He's going to fly everywhere on his private jet, and he's going to put his brother in charge of his supplement company. He's already got his whole life all planned out. He's just rolling through the book on mental toughness.
Well, if you had a brother like Sal and you put him in charge, you're going to be in a good spot.
Yeah, if we each had a brother like Sal, we'd be able to do our own podcast all the time. Yeah. So. Anyway, so he's starting up his company.
I do. His name is Corey, though. But
yeah.
Anyways, he's out on the East Coast doing his thing, whatever, living his life, being
sending
cool.
pictures of Myrtle Beach to everybody on his Facebook page. No, it looks like he's having fun.
Hey,
seems to be enjoying himself.
That's the thing is he's enjoying his life. He's got a girlfriend. He's got a good job. He's got his dog. He's just. That's the thing I've always envied about my brother Corey is he can live a very minimal life and be super content.
Yeah.
Like very content. So anyways, so
he's trying to figure out what he needs to do in order to make this business successful, right? He's got a pretty good idea of the mental toughness that he's going to have.
Okay.
They're going to use the Echelon Front stuff to set up their business. Like this is going to be the culture and things that we're going for. They're already starting to do that a little bit.
Okay.
His big thing that he's got to try to figure out is how to create a company culture that emphasizes mental toughness and the 4 laws of combat.
Okay.
He's got a $1 million idea.
Yeah.
He's got people that are backing it, that are putting that money out there. Now he's got to create the culture and run the business. So from the ground up.
He's got the advantage. It's from the ground up.
Right? So you got a blank slate. So you do have an advantage there, right?
Yeah,
so how does he get it going?
Just start with something.
Okay.
So one, he's got to actually have a product to sell or a service to offer that's going to generate income.
It's a software for this guy. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So he's got the software. He has the financial backing, and I would encourage him to get counsel from other people to make sure the financial backing he has is enough. A lot of people don't understand how much financial backing they're going to need to bring a company to the 3 to 5 year mark. Enough financial backing to get you through year one most of the time isn't going to work because your expenses are going to be are going to exceed what you're actually bringing in for income.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't understand how many businesses run in a deficit for the first 3 to 5 years.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Like a legit deficit for the first 3 to 5 years. So you have to be able to understand, okay, hey, okay, so he's got this, is it a product or a service?
It's a service.
Okay, so he's got
company.
He's got this service that he's going to be providing. So he needs to understand, okay, what's going to be the profit. So, and obviously, in order for him to create the service, there's a lot of things that are associated. There's a lot of costs associated with that.
Yeah.
So he's got to figure out that cost, figure out what he's going to be charging, what his profits are, and what are his expenses, and then that's basic thing. If anybody's doing a business, they're hopefully doing those things.
Right.
So he's doing those things and then understanding, okay, hey, the first year we're going to make X amount, but our expenses are going to be A, B, and C. Okay, cool. And the other thing also with businesses, these are projections, not guarantees. They're projections and not guarantees.
That's the difference between desires and capabilities is projections and guarantees.
Legitimately stole the line out of my mouth. I was just getting ready to say, this is where the whole desire and capabilities come into place. Projections, And so these are projections, not guarantees. And so you need to make those projections for the next 3 years and figure out, okay, hey, based off of the revenue. I'm sorry, not the revenue, but the money that he's raised, the capital that he's raised. Okay, what can he do with that capital? Because that's the other thing is like, I don't know how it's structured. Like, are these people just getting their money back? Do they have equity in the company? Are they on the board? Does he answer to them in regards to how he spends the money? Or do they just give him money and say, okay, in 5 years, I'm going to have my money back plus 15? I don't know.
Right.
Like, these are all things. And so he has to be also very conscious of how he spends their money, because it's their money, not his. It's their money.
Yep.
And his obligation is to get their investment back, while building a profitable business that's going to be able to grow and expand.
Yeah. With a good culture.
With a good culture.
Yep.
Well, the culture comes down to what you do at the very beginning. It's accountability, responsibility, and standards. So for him, he has to understand, what is he accountable for?
Accountability, responsibility,
and standards.
Okay.
Right? Culture is the ultimate form of decentralized command.
Right.
You set the culture, you know, people are going to know what to do. Well, through decentralized command, you establish a culture of driving ownership. That's how he does it. So however his structure is, he's going to have to drive ownership and make sure that he's taking ownership. And you're starting from the beginning. That's something that you can actually have conversations with people. So if I'm starting a company and I bring you on board, I'm like, hey, Lucas, the biggest thing is that we have alignment on our goals and our expectations. We need regular communication. Hey, we're doing this business. We probably need to talk daily. Weekly, I need to have an understanding of our numbers. Monthly, we need to have P&L statements. You know, like we're setting all these things right away from the beginning. That's accountability, responsibility, and standards.
Yeah.
So if you know what is expected of you, we can maintain alignment on whether we're hitting these things or not. And then me as the CEO of the company or the founder, you know, whatever, because I also know there are CEOs that weren't the founders. People bring in CEOs to help run their company. But at the end of the day, it's all about alignment. And so for him starting this company, you know, make reading Extreme Ownership part of what you do. Hey, you come on board the company, you read Extreme Ownership, we talk about it. You read Dichotomy of Leadership, we talk about it. You read Leadership Strategy and Tactics, we talk about it. You do those, you read those 3 books, like, and someone's thinking, man, that's a lot to expect of somebody. No, it's not. If it's important to you, they'll do it.
Yeah.
And if it's really important to you, it can be a part of their workday. Hey, take 20 minutes when you start your day on the clock to read these books and digest this. And so that's how you know, part of the culture. And hey, when somebody makes a mistake, which they will, how do you handle that? That also is a reflection of your culture. If you're sitting there going, hey man, Lucas, last month we hit our numbers and, you know, here's boom, boom, boom. And I'm driving that praise down to you. Like, hey, we hit our numbers. I appreciate all the hard work. You know, like, hey, thank you for everything that you do. Hey, Lucas, we didn't hit our numbers, man, and I'm really sorry. You know, again, going back to what we've talked about before, having that hard conversation, problem, consequences, ownership, solution. Yeah. I'm going to use that framework when I'm working through hard things, and that's how I establish a culture of extreme ownership. It doesn't have to, it's not some big crazy thing. It's literally the example that you set through your actions, the words that you use, how you treat people. And if you're focusing on communication and driving ownership, you're going to be in a good position.
So one of the primary things that you come into whenever you're trying to create culture is obviously, you know, what'd you say, your accountability, responsibility, and standards.
Yes.
Right? How do you formulate your standards? Because there's a lot of people, like if you read the business books and it's like, oh, you need to come up with your vision and your mission and you know, your goal statements and all those kinds of things. Is the standard of a company, right? Is it more about what our stated standard is, or is it more about the leadership being exemplifications of above and beyond that standard that's going to be the bigger determinant in how the company actually works?
It's how the leader acts.
Okay.
I mean, at Echelon Front, like there in our employee handbook, it doesn't say that you have to shave. But guess what we do? We shave.
Yeah.
We shave before every event, before every work call. Anything that's Echelon Front related, you're going to be clean shaven. you're going to have a good haircut. That's part of the culture we have at Echelon Front because that's the example that Jocko and Leif set. And when I went to my very first event with Leif, he told me, hey, man, we shave before events. And I had some face, I had some growth,
some stubble
on the stubble, and I was like, oh, check, and and I didn't do it. So there's actually a picture of me at an event with Jocko in an Echelon Front polo with a beard, because at the very beginning I went and saw the muster, and I was just there to attend the muster, so I hadn't shaved for, I don't know, a few weeks or whatever. It wasn't anything noticeable, but you can definitely tell. But then, we have I'm on his podcast, and then the following week I'm doing some stuff, and then I get the call from Jamie of like, hey, we want to bring you out to this event that Jocko's doing, blah, blah, blah. And so I go out to the event. He has a polo for me. I wear the polo. I'm at the event, and bro, I didn't shave. I didn't think about the fact that Jocko is shaving, and so I brought that up one time, and Jocko's like, you weren't on the team yet. We hadn't brought you on. I was bringing you out to check it out just to see. He goes, that's why I didn't say anything. But in my mind, I'm like, I should have noticed that. Right. I should have recognized, oh, that's what you and Leif do. And then now I don't know if he said something to Leif or Leif just knew because of the picture. I don't know. I never asked. But when I did an event with Leif, and it was an event where I'm actually sitting there listening to him do it and then participating in the Q&A for that event, he told me, he's like, hey, we shave. And I'm like, cool. So we're in the hotel room together, and I'm shaving. He's shaving and I'm shaving. Yeah. And so it was hey, this is what we do here. And that's what I've been doing for 7.5 years.
It reminds me of, you ever seen the movie Mean Girls?
Maybe.
Yeah, it's like Rachel McAdams and Lindsay Lohan and several other people. Anyway, but they tell one of the girls whenever she gets into the cool girl clique, on Wednesdays we wear pink, and that's it. That was your life. Hey, we shave. So my follow up to that is, especially when we're looking at culture within startups, one of the things that's so difficult and so challenging right now when we're onboarding, particularly, I would say anybody under 35, is that there is a challenge with time prioritization, right? Mm-hmm. And we know prioritize and execute, one of the essential laws of combat, but there is this idea that effective time management is a thing of the past. And one of the things that a recent study has shown is that in an 8-hour workday, people typically only put in 3 hours of active work. They'll spend an hour at lunch, and then the rest of the time is, on their phones, at the water cooler, scrolling Facebook, whatever, right? One of the things that I've come into contact with recently is talking to some of our guys about hey, you're missing a lot of small detail tasks, right? What do you think about writing them down? Yeah. That simple suggestion, just write them down. And they're like, where? In the notes on your phone, carry a notebook with you, any number of places where you can write it down. Yeah. The ego is, and this, I brought this concern up to some other people that are working with, like I said, just young folks, whether they be college graduates, high school students, or people that just finished their master's degrees. Yeah. Is that because they have achieved a certain level of education, whatever that is, they feel like they're good time managers, but when they're put into a workplace, they aren't. Yeah. How do we create a culture of prioritization and execution? Because that's such a challenge.
Well, it's a skill set that needs to be taught. Yeah. You can't assume that people are going to know how to do these things. And it's the other thing is I have had situations in the past where I got frustrated because I felt somebody wasn't acting as urgent as they should be. Yeah. Because in my mind, it's wait, what do you mean? Why haven't you done this? Why would you not do this? That's just Go get it done.
Yeah.
That's my perspective. And what I have to understand is not everyone's going to have the same sense of urgency that I have. Not everyone's going to have the same ability to build relationships like I can. Not everyone's going to have the same ability to simplify their communication. I'm not saying I do all these things perfect, but what I'm giving an example is.
But it's a skill set you've developed, right?
Yes,
because
not everyone's
leadership
going to be able
is a
to
skill.
empower. So prioritize and execute is a skill set. Detachment is a skill set. And so if I am in a leadership position and I have younger people that are working for me that I feel aren't doing a good job prioritizing their time and or executing tasks in a timely manner and staying organized, I'm going to teach them. I'm going to teach them how to use tools. I'm going to find tools. I'm going to research tools. I'm going to help them create tools. I'm going to help them create habits to create tendencies. Here's the deal. They don't have the proper mindsets for victory, which we teach at Echelon Front, that's going to help them be able to do these things. There's a lack of urgency. There's a lack of organization because of the environment that they've been in and or the environment that I created. So I have to go back to, what's the environment I've allowed to be established here? How do I correct it? How do I adopt it? How do I teach them? And it's the same thing we're doing with Aiden right now. It's like, hey, bud, you came and worked this FTX at Echelon Front. What should you do? What do you mean? Well, you just came home from it. It's been a couple of days. What should you do if you wanted to go work with them again? Reach out to them. Yep. And so reminding him hey, send a text message. Say, hey, I appreciate the opportunity to work for you guys. If you have any future FTXs I can be a part of, let me know. And that's what they need to be doing. And that's what he needs. And so we're teaching them these things. Time management it's a skill set. You have to be intentional with it. And here's the cool thing here's the thing that people need to realize, that you as a leader, your mindset is wrong when it comes to how your people are doing these things. The mindset that you have that they should just be doing this right is wrong. It is up to you to teach them these things. You have to look at it from a coaching and mentoring mindset of, I have this opportunity in front of me to teach these people these skill sets and how to go and execute these things. And when you look at it that way, it goes back to the whole I get to do this mindset. Like, oh, cool. Hey, I get to teach these people. I get to train them. I get to show them how to use these systems. I get to teach them how to create new habits. It's up to you. And if you don't do it, who's going to? Nobody else is going to do it. So it's up to you. So you have to shift your mindset as a leader to go out there and teach and empower and drive the ownership down to your people.
Yeah, and particularly with prioritize and execute, I think that's one that you have to set the example of. Because if you're upset because somebody else is missing details, then that is, like we've talked about before, that's the time to go micromanage. Mm-hmm. Right? So you need to be paying attention to the details that they're missing. Yeah. And then showing that you've got your own, whether it's your critical tasks or your, prioritize and execute from the execute journal. Yep. All right. This last one comes from Oxford University. All right. You and a super intelligent snail both get $100 million and you both become immortal. However, you die if the snail touches you. It always knows where you are and slowly crawls towards you. Do you take the $100 million?
Yes.
Okay, so what's your plan to stay away from the snail? Remember, it's a super intelligent snail.
I'm going to kill it.
You probably have the skill set to kill a snail. No, but it does say the snail's immortal. Yeah, the snail cannot die.
So then using salt, is it going to work against it?
No, it doesn't work against it. Using bullets, it doesn't work against it. It's an immortal snail.
Well, just because it knows where I'm at doesn't mean that it can just keep up with me.
No, it can't keep up with you. It slowly crawls towards you, but you've got to come up with a strategy to stay away from it because it knows where you are at all times.
But I can put a tracker on it.
You could?
Yeah, so that's all I'm going to do.
You would have to hire somebody to put a tracker on the snail.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I have $100 million.
Yep.
I can afford to pay somebody just to literally keep visibility on that. I'm gonna hire somebody to keep visibility on it, and then I'm gonna find and or create a software that monitors that snail and gives me updates. If it gets within 1,000 miles of me, I'm going to have an update.
Okay.
So
you'd take the money.
100%.
All right.
What's the alternative?
Don't take the money.
And do what?
And just live your life like you're living it right now.
I'm not worried about a snail taking me out.
So because all it has to do is touch you. The majority of people, whenever they begin to flesh this situation out, choose not to take the money.
Because
there is little that we desire that is not inexhaustible. And even inexhaustible passions lose their value once we gain the ability to enjoy them for eternity. Mm-hmm.
Wait, so am I becoming immortal?
You both do. Yeah.
Oh.
You both become immortal. However, if the snail touches you, you die. Yeah.
I don't want to be immortal. I want to go to heaven.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't properly listen.
Yeah,
to
okay,
you.
but if we take the immortal part out of it, you're taking the 100 million.
All day
100% of the time. Okay.
Yeah, the whole immortal part is like, no, I actually want to go to heaven. I want to, I want to leave this earth.
So that's the part that most people get hung up on, is the idea of immortality on earth is unappealing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is so strange, because that seems the way that like so many people are trying to rush us towards immortality. This became a very existential conversation.
Yeah.
But
I don't even know if I want to open this door by asking this question.
All right.
Maybe I'll ask it offline.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Yeah, but it is one of those interesting things. Like, this started off as an internet hypothetical and became an Oxford study. I'm serious. Yep. Became an Oxford study. So, because this is what the psych department does. But it is interesting that most people, when given the opportunity to become immortal, feel like their passions are exhaustible and would lose their value.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, but that's the reason that they didn't.
Yeah, because then you wouldn't have a sense of urgency to do stuff.
Or anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, part of the urgency that I have to do things now in my life is like, I'm 41.
Mm-hmm.
I might get another 40 years.
Yeah.
That's a big might.
That's a limited amount of
time.
For
the way I've lived my life, it's probably 25 to 30-ish. You know, probably mid-60s, early 70s is when I'll pass along. I'm willing to bet. Like 80 would be incredible.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. Now, if I could, that would be awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to be praying that happens.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
minimum. Right?
I think the rapture happens well before 40 years. If we're being real.
If we're being honest. Yeah.
I mean, I think if we're being
going
honest.
home long before that.
Yeah, we're going home long before. That's why I have a greater urgency with leading people to Christ these days. Is realizing like, hey man, like this is limited. You know, the Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu that we had this weekend.
Yeah.
My pastor, one of my pastors, but I call him my pastor. He's my main pastor to me, Pastor Tyron. He gave his testimony, and I mean, it was incredible. You talk about a pro. I mean, he's like you. Like if I was like, hey man, like, and I know we want you to come give your testimony very soon, whenever you're in town for it. You know, right. Is we told him 20 minutes. He finished speaking right at 20 minutes. And he was like, he wanted, and I'm like, hey, could you do like, hey, can you close it out in prayer and do the prayer of salvation? Like, and dude, like you could see everybody was just like, they wanted more. And it was just 20 minutes. And I was like, man, I wanted like hours of this. But man, there were salvations this weekend. Awesome, man. And it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. You know, and one of them was just a gift from the dedication of Isaac's discipleship. You know, he's been pouring into this guy for like 4 or 5 years.
Oh, really?
And a couple months ago, he was up at Double 5, and he pulled me aside to ask about some stuff that was like military service related of what he was feeling. And I pulled Isaac, Josh, and a few other guys into the room, and we just prayed with them and prayed over them and prayed out the spirit of fear and anxiety. And since then, he's like been good.
Yeah.
And hasn't had that. He stopped drinking, no more alcohol,
That's
like
stellar.
all these things, right?
Yeah.
Been on the
Big
path,
wins.
been coming to Milestone, introduced him to my buddy Brian Culver because he was like, hey, I can go on a Saturday night. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be there. But I was like, dude, you can't go to church by yourself. Like, I invited you, but I can't be there. But I was like, hey, I'm going to connect you with my buddy. And my buddy Brian Culver, he goes Saturday nights. Well, he's an Air Force vet. This guy's an Air Force vet. They link up.
Dope.
Brian is like, hey, come on up, bro. Like, let's go sit up towards the front, sit with my family, like introduced him. Brian's been pouring into him, right?
That's
and so
too
now
cool.
he has Isaac, he has me, he has Brian, he has people from Milestone. He comes to the Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu, and he's been like, and he comes up to Isaac and I afterwards. He's like, hey, bro, I just want to let you know, like, I dedicated my life to the Lord. And I was just like,
freaking awesome.
Bro, I started crying. Isaac's crying. This guy's crying.
Yeah, man.
Which is cool. And it was just such an incredible just moment of seeing that. But, so the reason I'm saying this is like, I've had this urgency for other people. And if I had immortality, like, I wouldn't have urgency to do the things I'm trying to do in business as well.
Yeah.
And just in life, I'm trying to get things done so I can have more freedom to enjoy like this limited window, man. Like it's a limited window. If I was at 50%, man, if you were to be like, hey bro, you're probably going to go until you're 82, 83, I would be stoked, man.
Right.
I would be so fired up, but I would still be like, that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's absolutely nothing. I've been at Echelon Front for 7.5, almost 8 years. And it's gone by like that. Aiden's 18. He's graduated. The girls were 12.
Yeah.
Like, it's just all boom, boom, boom. And so the immortality, like, bro, no, thank you.
Yeah. What's that old saying with kids? Is it the days are long, but the years are fast?
Yeah.
And it makes, like, with Scotty right now, like, that makes sense because like it's hard. He's going through another growth spurt and eating and not eating and awake all the time, and probably not sleeping well because of growing pains and all that kind of stuff, right?
All these things.
But, I look at Levi and he's already 2 and I'm like, where the heck did the time go?
Dude, it's crazy, man.
That's wild.
It's so insane. So life is short. The time that we have is very limited, so we have to make the most of it. And, I'm just thankful for the opportunity that we have to be able to do this podcast. I know it takes time away from our family, but I also know that at times it provides value to people.
Even if it is a snail hypothetical.
Yeah. And people, we know that we've led people to Christ. There have been people that have listened to this podcast that have reached out that are now, following Christ and are going to church and, leading their families and other people to do the same. I know my buddy Sean Hess, he's a great example. It's not because of the podcast, but because he reached out a while ago and he went to Pursuit and he listens to all these episodes and, he comments on everything that we have and he's in the Word and he's going to church and he's doing jiu-jitsu. He's lost like over 50 pounds now, I think grief. Also. So, I mean, you talk about taking ownership over your life. Think about this, right? Awesome. The ultimate ownership is salvation.
Right.
He's got eternity, right? So he's doing the same thing with his wife and kids. So they're going to church together as a family. He's leading people to Christ, like through his like just conversations and encouraging people. And, he's going to come back and serve at Pursuit and trying to get people to come to Pursuit with them. He's, dedicating his business to the Lord,
right?
And to where he helps people out that are, just doing awesome stuff. Training jiu-jitsu, did a jiu-jitsu tournament.
That's
lost
awesome.
Either he's lost almost 50 pounds or just over 50. It's one or the other. But either way, like, man, how much better do you think he's got to feel every single day?
Yeah.
Like just knowing, hey, I'm saved, I'm healthy, I've got a good marriage. My kid, it's just like, dude, he wakes up winning. That's what winning looks like. I don't know, man. To me, like I hear like
Ricky Bobby just wakes up in the morning, just
wakes
whizzes
up,
excellence.
Just pisses excellence, right? That's what Sean's doing, right? So, I just think it's cool that there are people out there, and it's because of our listeners that share this podcast that are commenting and creating a community and sharing it on social media. When you guys share this on social media, it legitimately helps us. We see an improvement in the downloads. We see an improvement in the subscribers, and it helps us out. And, we appreciate all the support from, people that are going and checking out Little Cattle Co. It's a beef company I'm a partner with. On the Path Printing, it's a apparel printing company I'm a part of. Bruiser Arms, Jocko Fuel, Origin USA, Echelon Front. Everything that I'm a part of. I'm just very thankful for what I get to do and all the support that you guys give. So I appreciate you guys doing that. Any final words, Lucas?
Man, go out there and get after it. I've told all of my students at this youth camp that there's these 3 lessons that I learned from a friend of mine, that you need to take notes, ask earnest questions, and do the work. And if you do those 3 things, then a lot of stuff in life comes together. So, yeah.
I like it. So I hope you guys.
Thank you for those, by the way.
Yeah. No. Hope you guys are having an awesome week, going out there, legitimately putting in the work. And just remember, never settle. Just keep, as Lucas said, getting after it. We appreciate you guys. This has been the JP Dinnell Podcast, YouTube exclusive.